I'm actually a pansexual student going to Rockridge High School. And just saying, like, you guys do nothing for us. You guys have no protection for us.
This is an important issue to me as a transgender student and to my countless LGBT classmates and the LGBT employees of Loudoun County Public Schools. When it was voted on not to add LGBT protection to the policy, it was a point of discussion for many of my friends in my school's Gender and Sexuality Alliance the next morning. We had been excited to see it pass given the history of employee protection trickling down and becoming student protections. We couldn't understand why such a basic protection wouldn't be added. It doesn't cost any money, it doesn't harm children, it doesn't harm other employees of the school, so why on earth would it not be passed?
I implore all of you to revisit the policy to protect LGBT students and staff in Loudoun County Public Schools. This policy may have stopped a teacher from telling me she didn't agree with my lifestyle during the election season last year, which made me feel unsafe and unaccepted in a place I should feel protected.
Even if you don't think it's necessary, it is. It's necessary because there are people out there who say things like this, and I quote, "Mental and physical health issues, which are more prevalent among homosexuals and gender-confused people, will open up a Pandora's box of liability, health insurance, and counseling costs." Now, even though you didn't say this, and even if you don't agree with it, by voting against adding LGBTQ to the policy, you're saying that it's okay for people to say this, and it isn't.
I'm here to encourage the revisitation of specifically including sexual orientation and gender identity in the language regarding employment protections. The issue was voted on almost exactly 1 year ago and was one of the more highly publicized decisions the board has made in recent memory. That publicity is important to note because that means students were watching, they were listening, and they saw and they heard the men and women behind this table vote to say that they do not care about queer identifying people the way they explicitly do people of varying races, colors, sexes, ages, nationalities, disabilities, medical conditions, or marital and pregnancy statuses.
Try as we may, the one thing that we haven't been able to really get rid of in Valley through the work with the GSA is the use of slurs. And most of the time, it's not in mean spirits. Most of the time, it's among friends, and it's between people with limited exposure to the issues, just sort of ragging on one another at a friendly capacity. But what it does is really reaffirm the notion to kids who are struggling to come out, who have mixed relations with their parents, just really struggling to find themselves at an already difficult time in their lives. And it really, I think, reinforces the notion that they are something else. Their friends and their classmates are something. They belong to one group, and they are different. You know, the LGBT community at Valley probably numbers around 20 or 25, and out of a class of 1,200 or 1,200 people at the school, they're already such a minority that unless they feel actively welcomed, then I don't see them being anything other than marginalized.
I'm here again to speak to the school board to please reconsider adding LGBT language to the employee protection and student non-discrimination policy, and it will give you one reason to do it. Student performance. I know that as school board members, all anything really comes down to is student performance, and as it should. Whether or not any in particular student feels safe isn't quantifiable. The same way attendance and performance is. But let me tell you something, a student's perception of safety and acceptance actually plays a massive role in both attendance and performance. According to a report by the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, commonly referred to as GLSEN, LGBT students with high incidence of victimization are 3 times as likely to miss school in the past month, may have lower GPAs by as much as half a point on average, and are twice as likely to not pursue a secondary education. And perhaps most obviously, we are twice as likely to experience depression than our straight peers. The same GLSEN report also stated that schools with comprehensive anti-bullying policies were less likely to experience the kind of victimization that leads to these troubling statistics.
I came out last year as a 7th grader. Since that time, I recorded how many times I heard LGBTQ offensive language at my school in a month, and I heard it 15 times as me. In each single instance, there was a staff member present who heard that, and they did nothing. 2 of those were actually spoken by adults to me. One was from my guidance counselor, who, when we proposed starting a gay-straight alliance, she told us that in her religion, homosexuality was a sin. I emailed my principal to ask, to tell her that I felt uncomfortable at Farmwell being LGBTQ, that I had been teased, that I had been called names. And she told me that other children had not. They had told her that they were happy, that they were accepted, that they enjoyed being at Farmwell and being LGBTQ. So that because I did not feel that way, my experience was not valid.
Why is it that because of who I am, you go so far as to intentionally vote against measures that would implement policies to help end discrimination against those in the LGBT community? Why is it that the current LCPS policies created a school atmosphere that inhibited my self-acceptance and told me that it wasn't safe to come out to staff? It wasn't until the ANOVA blood drive last year that I was forced to out myself to school staff. To donate blood, you have to disclose your sexual orientation, and I was rejected from the blood drive because of that.
My former best friends were attacked verbally by boys on their bus. They were consistently called derogatory terms. The entire way home, the bus driver did nothing. Another former friend of mine was bullied relentlessly by the freshman football team last year. Teachers did nothing until one of their more bold friends went to the coach.
Does it not occur to you that not protecting employees could also harm students and encourage others to bully? I have news for you. They already are bullying us. I have friends who have been harassed for wearing dresses, and I personally have been called derogatory terms such as tranny. And when I asked my guidance counselor for help, instead of helping me, he referenced his personal belief in the Christian faith.